In the modern world, we're constantly surrounded by people. Crowds in cities, endless messages, a stream of faces, voices, opinions, and yet, despite all of this, deep down, people feel alone. And the more noise there is around us, the stronger that emptiness becomes within. We live in an age of information, but not of understanding. We read, scroll, listen, but absorb almost nothing. Our minds are overloaded, our attention scattered, and inside, it just gets quieter. Information has become a background hum that doesn't help us. It distracts us. And then there comes a moment when you're alone. No screen, no music. You suddenly stop hearing the outside world and begin to notice the silence. And in that silence, unsettling questions rise. Fears, thoughts you've been running from. You're finally face to face with what actually lives inside you. People fear solitude, because in solitude, you can't pretend. You can't be someone else. You're left with only yourself. And if you don't know who that is, if you've been hiding, then solitude feels like a threat. But the truth is, solitude is not isolation. It's a forge. It doesn't take your strength away. It creates it. It's the space where you stop performing and start building. You're not alone. You're with yourself. And that matters more than any company. One of the people who understood this deeper than anyone was Miyamoto Musashi, a legendary Japanese swordsman, strategist, philosopher, a man who won dozens of real-life duels and one silent duel no one saw, the duel with himself. Musashi lived a life of combat, a master of the sword, respected and feared. But toward the end of his life, he left everything behind. Not because he was defeated, but because he understood where real victory begins. He withdrew from the world and went to live in a cave, alone. No students, no fame, no noise. He didn't seek comfort. He sought clarity. He trained, he meditated, he wrote, he purified himself from ambition, illusion, ego. In solitude, he realized something powerful. The enemy is not external. The enemy is the fear of looking yourself in the eye. The enemy is the noise within that blocks truth. The enemy is the need to be someone else, instead of being yourself. In that silence, Musashi wrote his greatest work, the Book of 5 Rings. Not a manual on how to kill, but a guide on how to live. A system where each scroll represents an element, and each element reflects a facet of the mind. The Earth Scroll is the foundation, the ability to stand firmly, to see reality without distortion, to be honest with yourself. This is the root of all strength. Without it, everything else crumbles. The Water Scroll is adaptability. You must be like water, able to shift shape without losing essence. In a changing world, that's not weakness, it's wisdom. You don't lose yourself by bending, you survive and keep walking. The Fire Scroll is action. You can't wait for the perfect moment. Fire acts now. You don't depend on motivation, you simply begin, especially when it's hard. The Wind Scroll is observation, studying others, learning from different schools, not to imitate, but to understand. You learn from the world, but you don't betray your nature. The Void Scroll is the center. Void doesn't mean emptiness. It means clarity, perception without distortion. No ego, no noise, no reaction, just presence, just truth. That's where mastery begins. But the path to that kind of clarity passes through solitude. Not retreat, not depression, not loneliness, but intentional silence. A deliberate choice to disconnect from the outer world so you can finally begin to construct your inner one. Today, scientists confirm what Miyamoto Musashi understood hundreds of years ago. When you spend time in silence, your brain's dopamine system begins to reset. You start to feel pleasure again from simple things. Your thoughts deepen. Your perception sharpens. You stop reacting and start thinking. Creativity increases. You no longer rush, you go deeper. You stop consuming and start creating. You stop chasing the world and begin listening to yourself. That's why solitude is not a punishment. It's a necessary passage toward freedom. Because if you can't be alone, you're not free. You depend on approval, on attention, on the noise of others. But if you can be alone, you stop being a victim of your environment. You decide who you are, what matters, where you're going. You become the author. You become yourself. That's what Miyamoto Musashi was pointing to. He didn't leave the world out of weakness. He passed through it and came out the other side. Clear, strong, free. Try it. Stay with yourself. Without distractions. Without scrolling. Sit in silence. Don't force a result. Just be. And you may hear something you haven't heard in a long time. Yourself. Maybe it'll feel uncomfortable, but if you stay, you'll find what you've been searching for, your strength, your path, and you won't be the same. Because solitude is not the end, it's the beginning, not of darkness, but of clarity. Miyamoto Musashi was free, and that's why he won. You don't need more noise. You don't need more tips, more voices, more stimulation. You need to remember who you are when everything falls silent. Because in the end, there's one place no one else can go with you. Into your own mind, into your doubts, into your discipline, into your path. And if you avoid that place, someone else will always live your life for you. But if you enter it, and you face what you find, then no one will ever own you again. That is what Miyamoto Musashi understood. That clarity is not given to the loud. It belongs to the one who dares to be still, to stand in the center of the storm, unshaken, to cut through all illusion, not with a blade, but with awareness. In a world begging for your attention, solitude is an act of defiance. A rebellion against noise, a return to essence. So go, not to escape the world, but to face yourself without excuses. Because if you can do that, if you can sit in silence and not flinch, then there is nothing left to fear. And that is freedom.